The Everyday Hustle on Asian Network.
Hey hustlers, it's Harleen Naughty on BBC Asian Network with The Everyday Hustle. Whether you're ready to launch a side hustle, explore a new passion or strengthen your financial future, my amazing guests are here to inspire and energise you every step of the way. If you're new here, you can go back and listen to every previous episode of The Everyday Hustle over on BBC Sounds, where you'll find more inspiring conversations with incredible entrepreneurs just like today's guest. As a part of BBC January Wellness, a time for resetting and rethinking how we live and work, we're joined by Kuli Desi, founder of The Safe Space, a wellness business offering one-to-one programs, retreats in Mexico, and has a growing online community. Here's what's coming up.
So essentially, I help people regulate their nervous system by healing their inner child. I did not think I was going to do anything like this 10 years ago. My clients would typically come to me because they're successful, they've got good careers, they've got good businesses, they're doing very well financially, but something's missing.
Welcome to The Everyday Hustle, Kuli.
Thank you very much.
For anyone who hasn't come across you before, what is your business and can you explain what you do, please?
Yeah, so I help high achievers overcome anxiety, negative self-talk, that feeling of not being good enough, feeling lost, lonely inside, which are all rooted to your childhood, right? So essentially, I help people regulate their nervous system by healing their inner child. And I do that through my one-on-one programs, my free online community, and my retreats in Mexico, all under the company name of The Safe Space.
How did you manage to find your niche within this?
To really answer that question, you've got to really understand everything that I've kind of been through. So I did not think I was going to do anything like this 10 years ago, 15 years ago. You know, I was nearly got married, went through the normal Indian route of getting married, having kids, buying properties, right? Because that's what every Indian does. And in 2015, I actually left to go to Mexico, right? Engagement broke up, didn't work out. So I left to go to Mexico. And then I was just living a very, very, not a mundane life, but I was living a life that was not in alignment, right? So I was just partying, I was drinking, I was on the party lifestyle and just everything that involves. And then in 2018, I had an accident, which, we could speak about in a moment, but that really set me on a soul searching journey where I really started asking questions of, what am I doing? Why am I here? Why am I even existing? What am I supposed to be doing with life, right? And then that journey lasted about 2 or 3 years. And then eventually it got to the point where I realized that, okay, people are struggling with certain things. People are struggling with anxiety. People are struggling with, that feeling of not being good enough, feeling lost, lonely inside, imposter syndrome, alcohol issues as well. It's major in our culture. And I started realizing it's all rooted to the childhood. And I started doing my own work and I started working with shamans in Mexico. I got introduced to my inner child in 2020. And I think I just kind of realized that this is what I'm supposed to be doing and it's needed.
Fascinating stuff, to be honest with you. It is really interesting because every business normally aims to solve some sort of a problem, right? So what problem do people come to you with?
So my clients would typically come to me because they're successful, they've got good careers, they've got good businesses, they're doing very well financially, but something's missing. And in the work that I do, it's called a hole in the soul. Now, whether my clients can actually articulate it like that is a different story. But the issues they'll be facing are things like anxiety, depression, having everything on the outside materialistically, but inside feeling lost, feeling lonely, right? They've tried therapy, it didn't work for them, right? They've tried anxiety tablets, it hasn't worked, right? And they've tried meditation, but they can't seem to get it themselves. So my clients, they'll typically struggle with that feeling of not being good enough, imposter syndrome, even attracting the wrong kind of partners.
So you describe in 2018 as the time that everything shifted for you, right? How did that reset change the way you thought about work, success and money?
I left England in 2015, moved to Mexico, and between 2015 and 2018, my dad passed away in 2016, right? So, and then I went back to Mexico in 2017. For those, 3 years, I was just partying. There was just literally, I was just in the clubs, everything, just party. That's what my life was, right? Then I had an accident in 2018. I was on a quad bike and I was on the way to work, right? I was selling real estate at the time in Mexico, and a taxi's hit me. I've hit a truck. I've gone flying over the bike, and I've got 19 stitches in my leg, pierced my leg. Right, still got the scar there now, right? Muscle laceration, and I was in bed for 3 months. I couldn't even lift my leg, my right leg. I couldn't lift it, couldn't walk, couldn't do anything. And for those 3 months, that is when my journey started. That's when everything shifted, because that's when I started asking myself, what am I doing with my life? Like, really, what am I doing with my life, right? And it was not to be, I don't think it's arrogant in any way, shape or form, but, you know, it's kind of like, why am I even in Mexico? Like, why is an Indian boy from England, from the Midlands, what the hell am I doing in Mexico? How does that happen, right? Because which brown boy from England moves to Mexico? It doesn't happen, right? So it's like, I'm trying to connect all the dots. Like, okay, why did my dad drink so much? Why was life like this? Why did this happen? Why did this happen? Why did things not work out with, you know, the ex-fiance? And I'm trying to get answers to all of these questions, right? And obviously the answer's not going to come overnight like that. And I didn't know how to connect with my nervous system at that time. I didn't know how to go within at that time. But the questions were being asked. And then as soon as, you know, I think I was able to walk again from like August onwards, slowly walking back again. I then left Playa del Carmen and went to Mexico City. In Mexico City, I got introduced to meditation, and it was a weird meditation because it wasn't someone guiding it. It was an actual machine, and the machine was like, you close your eyes, and I don't know if you've ever heard of like ayahuasca or anything like that. Of
course,
right?
yeah.
But it basically not reenacts, what's the terminology? It emulates, right, you experiencing those kind of frequencies. So you close your eyes. The machine does. Yeah. So what it does is it throws lasers at you, and it's hitting your retina. Your eyes are closed, of course.
Right.
So then that happened, and then I got into breath work, right, in Mexico City as well. And from there, the journey just kind of went deeper and deeper over the next 6 months, over the next year, and then eventually in 2020, I got introduced to my inner child, and that is when everything was just like, okay, life needs to be different. I can't go back to how I was living. I can't go back to the party lifestyle. I believe God, the universe, whatever it is that you believe in, I believe it talks to you every single moment of the day. And I believe the things that I experienced were signs, and they were saying to me, wake up, right? Because you've just had an accident. We're not going to give you another sign. There were so many synchronicities where I was like, why are these things happening? Because I believe there is a reason for everything. I don't believe that that things just happen just for the sake of happening and there's no deeper reason. I believe there is a deeper reason for everything.
Everyday Hustle
on Asian Network.
What challenges did you face, Cooley, at the beginning of your wellness business, such as funding or securing clients?
So the biggest thing that I had to get over first and foremost was actually coming to terms with that I have to put my face online, and I have to start creating, you know, Instagram videos and talking videos. And the reason why that was the biggest struggle for me at that time, back in 2020, was people who knew me, they didn't know that I had this side to me. They didn't know that I thought the way I thought. They didn't know that, you know, I knew about this kind of stuff. I was known in my city as a party boy, and that's it. Right, and then I go to Mexico and I'm still just partying. The reason why I wanted to do all of this because I didn't want that to be my legacy. Like, I might just, you know, that's it. No, I've got so much more to do. So that was the biggest challenge at that time. And how I got over that challenge is coming to the realization when I got my first client, realizing that, okay, what I do actually works and people need this. So the purpose, the mission is bigger than my fears.
Mm-hmm. And with your type of business, do you find that you needed a large sum of initial capital, like some sort of investment in order to start that type of business? Or did you feel like it's the kind of business that you could just, like you say, pick up the phone, record some Instagram videos, start putting yourself out there to start securing clients?
Yeah, it's probably one of the least investment required businesses out there, because you don't need to invest 50,000 for premises. You don't need to do branding and stuff like that. Everything is all online, and with AI now, everything, you can literally just start a business doing what I do, not doing what I do, but a similar business, you know, very, very low capital. So I didn't need a lot of funding at all.
A lot of listeners have life experience that could benefit others, but don't see it as business worthy. How did you turn something deeply personal into a service people were willing to pay for, Cooley?
I think it's unwavering belief in myself and believing that everything that I've been through in my lifetime was for a reason. And I think we all go through stuff, right? Every single person on this planet, I believe, go through something. I think it's like a rite of passage. But there are some people who take that pain and they do something with it. And there are many other people that get stuck in that pain and they allow that, you know, that lack of confidence. That lack of confidence has comes from somewhere. Because when you're a baby, when you're a child, you have ultimate confidence, right? You believe you can do anything. But it's only then the parents start saying, no, you're going to get hurt. No, you're going to get hurt. And then, you know, don't do this, don't do that, don't do that. And that's conditioning, right? So I have essentially conditioned myself to believe that I can do anything. And I think at the beginning, I didn't know there were going to be retreats. For me, December 2020, it was like, okay, let's give it a year. Let's just give it a year. Let's give it all I got. Let's see what happens. Got first client in January, and then another one February, March, April. Clients started coming in. And then everything just started rolling. I started getting better with the Instagram videos. You know, my first Instagram video took me 2 hours to record one video and 80 attempts.
Oh, wow.
I've still got it in my camera roll, right? I've still got it 80 attempts. And now I can do like 40 videos in like 20 minutes, 30 minutes.
Yeah.
But you can't start off like that. So it's understanding that if you have no prior business experience, right? If you have no social media experience, it's going to take time. But if you believe in what you're doing, if you believe that there is a need out there and there is a belief in yourself that you can solve that problem for people or whatever it is, right? Then you have to bet on yourself and you have to believe in yourself because you only get one shot in life, right? We don't know when we're going to go, right? We say we're going to live to 80, but we don't really know that. Yeah, so why would you not give it everything you've got?
Have you heard of anyone else doing this sort of thing, Cooley, or anyone you aspire to match in terms of audience and impact?
I don't think there's anyone that I want to aspire to match. I think everyone is in their own lane correctly, you know, and I don't think there's anyone. I think my mission is to impact millions of people. And, you know, how I do that, what my vehicle to do that is, will change over time. But I don't think there's anyone I aspire to be like. Obviously, there's been many inspirations, right? I've been inspired by, I've studied a lot of people. Do you know what I mean? And it's these people they're strong individuals, but they all stood for something. And I think that's where I take my inspiration. I want to stand for something. And whoever follows me and whoever believes in me, then I'm grateful for that.
So wellness is a really busy market now and has been probably for about the last 10 years or so. What do you think makes your approach different, Cooley, and why is it that clients choose you?
To do this healing work, you've got to go into your feminine energy, right? And that's the case for men and women, right? You can't do this healing work in your masculine. So what I essentially do is I create a safe space for people, men and women, to go into their feminine, do what they need to do, release what they need to release, and then, you know, come back out of it safely as well. And I think, again, from the feedback that I've received, I don't fluff it, right? I'll challenge them, right? I'll tell them when the fear is allowing them to you know, go even further in their journey, right? And I'm not scared to say to someone, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, have a coffee on your own time. Don't do it on our time. Have a coffee on your own time. It's a true story about my client, actually. She turned up 5 minutes late to the very first session. And I said to her, I'll just give you your money back. I said to her, take your money back. I'm not working with you if you're going to come to our sessions late. This is our very first session. Fine, have a coffee, but do it in your own time. Yeah. So it's creating that environment where we're here to do something. We're here to change your life. Where I feel in the wellness space, there is a lot of fluff. There's a lot of, you know, make it look pretty, make it look this, make it look that. But with myself, I'm helping you get to the root. And in my experience, until you get to the root of why you're struggling with whatever it is that you're struggling with, nothing is going to change. And that's the difference between me and anybody else, or anybody else that's doing this work.
Yeah, it's such fascinating work, to be honest with you. I feel like I could talk to you about it forever. Social media has a massive part to play in your business, Cooley. What helped you push past that fear of judgment that we all have deep within us? And how do you show up consistently online? Because that's not an easy thing.
a lot of people's fear of judgment is from strangers.
Yes.
My fear of judgment was from people that I knew. So I was like, how are these people gonna receive what I'm doing? Because again, they don't know that I think like this. They don't know that I talk like this. They don't know that I even have this knowledge, because they only know one aspect of us, of myself, right?
Sure.
But as humans, majority of us are multifaceted. There's, we're different to who we are. We're different to our work people. We're different to our parents. We're different to our friends, and the people that we grew up with.
Yeah.
We're different towards them as well. So we're all kind of multifaceted. So it's like, how are the people that I've grown up with, how are they going to receive what I'm actually doing? Because they've never experienced this side of me, right? So and that was one big issue for myself. But again, going back to it, is for me, the mission and the purpose is bigger. So when someone when someone says to me, "Oh, why have you got a nose piercing?" Someone will write a comment, "Why are you bald and why have you got a nose piercing?" I don't care, because the purpose is bigger.
That's such an odd comment to make.
It's an odd, but it's an odd comment. But it's like, first and foremost, I've got a nose piercing because it suits me. That's why it's still in my. That's why it's still in my nose 4 years later, right? I'm bald and I got a beard because it suits me, right? That's why I've not been to Turkey to get a hair transplant, because I believe in me.
I think a lot of the time when it comes to judgment, we can just really put far too much importance on other people's opinions, right? And we will put more importance on their opinions than we will on our own opinion of ourselves.
Yeah.
And I think what you say is really important, because ultimately you're putting the importance back on what you think about everything and not what anybody else thinks, whether that's a neighbour, a friend, or the random person coming across your video online. And I think that's ultimately, when you're doing things where you are putting yourself in a public facing role, you are going to get backlash from people. You are going to have people judging you, whether it's for your nose ring or whether it's for your accent or whatever it might be. There will be judgments there. And I think, like you say, you've got to have that belief within yourself, understand why it is that you're doing something, and let other people's judgments just fly over your head, because ultimately, their opinion has got nothing to do with what it is that you're doing, why you're starting your business, or you making your money at the end of the day, which we all need to do. So yeah, I think what you say at the heart of it is really important, particularly in Asian culture, because we are obsessed with what other people think about us, right? And I think it's a challenge that eventually all of us do face, especially the generations that grow up here in the UK.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but you have to understand why there is that fear of judgment, right? And it is passed down from its generational trauma, right? It's all generational trauma. It's like, why is in Asian community, it doesn't matter if you're Punjabi, if you're Sikh, if you're Hindu, if you're Muslim, whatever it is, it doesn't make a difference. Why is there such a fear of what are people going to say? Because it's passed down from generation. It's generational trauma.
It is, yeah.
Right? But ultimately, the reason why people have a fear of judgment is because their desire to be loved and accepted and approved of is higher than their self-love and their self-worth and their self-esteem. And until the balance tips the other way around, where your self-esteem, where your self-love and your self-worth is higher than your desire to have anyone's approval, your life ain't going to change.
Yeah, we do chase external validation without a shadow of a doubt.
Everyday Hustle
on Asian Network.
This is Harley Naughty. You're tuned in to the Everyday Hustle on BBC Asia Network, and I'm chatting to Kuli Desi. January is when a lot of people are trying to think about doing something new. So when it comes to the mistakes that people make with trying to build a business or a side hustle, when it comes from a place of burnout, what do you think those mistakes are?
Well, if you're burnt out and you're trying to start a business, the biggest mistake is you're trying to start a business when you're burnt out. Get some rest, right? And the problem with people that get burnt out, they don't rest because they feel guilty for resting. Well, why do they feel guilty? Again, because they've been conditioned to think that rest is weak. Where's that conditioning come from? It's come from childhood.
Yeah.
Right? So the mistakes that if you're going to start a business, first and foremost, you've got to understand, what problem are you solving? Yeah? What problem are you solving for someone, right? And if you're burnt out, why are you burnt out? Because if you're burnt out once, you're going to get burnt out again. in 2 years or 6 months or whatever that looks like, because you're not allowing yourself that rest. Are you burnt out because you're using social media too much? Are you burnt out because you haven't got a business plan? Are you burnt out because you're working, 12 hours a day and then you're trying to do a side hustle? Burnout is a massive issue.
Huge.
Massive, massive issue. The cure is just rest. It's simple. It's just so simple. Turn your phones off for like 5 days and just chill out.
So you don't recommend starting a business or a side hustle when you're feeling burnt out?
If you're burnt out, I don't recommend you doing anything if you're burnt out. If you feel as though you are burnt out and you're actually saying you're burnt out, the one thing you should be doing is taking a vacation without your phone.
Yeah.
For 3 to 5 days and just sleeping and resting and eating as healthy as you eat. I thought I eat healthy, but you're on another level. Yeah? But that's what you need to be doing if you're burnt out.
Yeah,
Because your body's talking to you. Again, your nervous system is talking to you. It's telling you, I need rest. Hello, knock, knock.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can do that. Knock, knock, it's telling you.
Yeah, quite often we don't listen to our bodies, do we? Our bodies are constantly talking to us, from the way our skin presents itself to the fact that we're burning out, but we don't listen to those things and we try and override with our mental. So top tip, guys, don't start a business if you're burning out. Cooley, what does the future look like for you?
I think the future for myself, continue what I'm doing for the time being. There is a book coming on the way. There's 2 books coming in my career. More retreats in Mexico, and then I have got something major planned, which I'm not going to reveal right now.
Oh, you're getting us all interested. Can you give us a snippet?
Major planned for the next, I'd say in the next 18 months. I'm going to go live with it. But yeah, I'm doing in-person events in Canada, in-person events here in England, and then in-person events obviously in Mexico. And then 2027, something big. I've already started putting the works in process.
So when it comes to, like you say, you're doing these in-person events across the water, do you have anybody that helps organise this with you, like an agent or some sort of fixer in those countries, or do you go about organising all that yourself?
No, I pretty much organise it by myself. Like for my retreats in Mexico, I've got my chef there. I've worked with the shaman before for my own journey, so he's always available for when I do my retreats. The yoga people, they're all there. All the facilitators that I use at my retreat in Mexico, I've used them multiple times, so they're all there.
So for Mexico, I understand, right? Because you lived there, you built the inroads, so you will have the contacts over there. But what I'm trying to think about for the audience is how they go about starting, if they want to do something like this and they want to go to America or Canada like you're about to and do some in-person events across there, how would they go about trying to start that process?
Well, I'd say do it locally first, right? Do it locally first. Like for me, I did it in Mexico first because I was living in Mexico, so that was local for me, right? So like you say, I've created all the contacts there. Now, I would say if someone wants to do in-person events here, then yeah, just do it locally first. Get your contact list up and start speaking to people. There's loads of people doing events here in England, right? I don't personally believe you should limit yourself to any smaller size or anything like that. If you want to do, an event for 20 people, for 50 people, 100 people, then yeah, go for it. The sky is the limit and you are the only person that's going to put limits on yourself. But what I would say is definitely like vet the people you're going to use. And trust your instincts. Trust your instincts. Like if you feel as though like a person is going to let you down, then trust that. Because you'd rather say no to a person that you believe is going to let you down than someone who you pay and then lets you down. Right?
Yeah,
and then
solid advice.
Yeah, and you've got to be very, very mindful of that. I got let down by my chef, right? I'm not going to say names or anything like that, but luckily I've got that many contacts in Mexico that the people that came to the last retreat, my clients who came to the last retreat, they didn't even realize. They didn't even realize. I knew 4 days before that, okay, my chef has gone AWOL, right? I have no idea where he is, right? But then I have to take responsibility for that as well because he's shown me who he is over the last 3 or 4 years. Do you know what I mean? So you have to understand people, because you are if you're doing events, you are in the business of people. Mm-hmm. So that's actually the best advice I can give. Understand people. Understand people
and network, it sounds like. Yeah. Network to get to know those people a bit better so that you have the contacts to then go away and build if you want to do so in that space.
It's about trust, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
The Hustle Hit List on Everyday Hustle Asian Network.
This is Harley Naughty. You're tuned into the Everyday Hustle on BBC Asia Network, and I'm chatting to Cooley Dacey, founder of The Safe Space. Cooley, before you go, could you share your ultimate hustle hit list? So this is where you found personal inspiration, a meaningful moment, or maybe even a practical life hack. So for our hustlers tuned in right now, could you share an inspirational book, a podcast, or a TV show or film that's had an impact on you?
Yeah, a book that has changed my life. I've even made a YouTube video on it as well. It's on my channel. Psycho-Cybernetics by Dr. Maxwell Maltz, right? If you can read that book and you can understand that book and you do everything that book tells you to do, I promise you it will change your life. Because it's all about the self-image, and it takes psychology, it takes cybernetics, and it takes everything and helps you understand yourself better.
What's cybernetics? I've never even heard of this term.
Cybernetics is it's a Greek term, right? And what it basically allows you to do, or what it basically does, is it says that everything that is your current reality can be changed through cybernetics.
Fascinating. And who's that by, sorry?
Dr. Maxwell Maltz.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Cooley. This has been an incredible conversation. I feel like I could dive into this psychology aspect for hours with you. It's really fascinating. If Asia Network listeners want to reach out to you, how can they find you on socials?
Yeah, so my Instagram is @Cooley and everything's @Cooley YouTube.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me. Much appreciated. Very grateful.